Hello, this is John welcoming you to the 1870th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline 30th of August 2012. The readers this week are Joy, Anna, Roy and myself, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette, the Enfield Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Local stories include claims that Ivy Road Recreation Ground is unsafe, a story about the Paralympics, one about incorrect medication at a care home, and finally, thefts from a grave. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. At the end of side 2, please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet, and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Now Joy will read the first item of local news.
A mother is calling for urgent action to clean up a children's playground in Southgate. Ivy Road Recreation Ground in Groveland's Court is overrun by nettles and polluted by rubbish, including beer cans and broken glass, according to Mari Warby. Mrs. Warby has taken her 3-year-old daughter to the park since she was a baby, as it is just a 2-minute walk from her home in Hillside Grove. However, the 37-year-old claims the area, which is behind Southgate allotments, has never been clean and is unsafe. She said, "It is awful and scary because we can't leave the children to play. We have to always see what they are doing and make sure they are not picking up any rubbish or glass." The Learning Development Manager says she regularly meets other parents in the park who also want the area to be cleaned up for the sake of their children. Despite emailing Enfield Council about the situation, Mrs. Warby says nothing has been done. She added, "Southgate only has one playground and the council seems to be totally uninterested in maintaining it. It is not good enough. The council needs to sort it out and make it nice." Cabinet Member for the Environment, Councillor Chris Bond, told the Enfield Independent, "We'd like to apologise to park users for the unacceptable state of this part of the recreation ground. To address this problem, Enfield Council has arranged more frequent litter picking, and we will also be emptying the bins more often to prevent a build-up of rubbish and minimise the likelihood of the recreation ground becoming untidy. We are happy to review these arrangements with the resident in a few weeks' time to make sure she is happy with the maintenance of the park." Mrs. Warby said, "This is what the whole thing was about, that the council would acknowledge there is a problem and do something about it. However, the proof is in the pudding, so we will have to see if improvements are made."
As many of you are dog owners, we wonder what you will think of a letter from G. Andrews of Ivy Road, Southgate. This is in answer to a letter in the paper last week, but you don't need to have read that letter. G. Andrews says, "While I sympathise to a certain degree with Linda Eastap's views, dogs deserve our respect, in your opinion column, August the 22nd, my overall view is dogs are not suited to modern urban environments. Many dog owners seem to think everyone else should love their dog as much as they do. It is not very reassuring to be told by a dog owner he won't bite when the dog is jumping all over you. You can never give assurances how an animal, however well-trained or domesticated, will react in any given situation, so it should be of utmost importance that dog owners have control of their dogs at all times. Many a walk in Enfield's parks and open spaces with our 3-year-old son has been ruined by dog feces everywhere. Unfortunately, for every responsible dog owner, there seems to be an irresponsible one just around the corner. I have seen gangs of youths with bull terriers in Ivy Road play area, allowing the dogs to chew the play equipment. Many dog owners disregard the dog's prohibited signs around the adjacent football pitch. I do agree with Mrs. Eastap that dogs deserve our respect. They have been invaluable in many areas of work and have provided much companionship to many people. But these bonds with our dogs were created over the centuries for reasons of necessity when we were a mainly agricultural society. Dogs were bred for specific purposes: hunting, working on farms, guarding properties, helping the blind, etc. People now just seem to buy dogs for their own personal pleasure and have no knowledge of what the dog was bred for. Many of these individuals shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a dog.
A care home has come under fire from inspectors for failing to give patients the correct medication. The Care Quality Commission has issued a formal warning to Four Seasons Limited after the Sunbridge Care Centre was inspected in July. The inspectors found that medicine records did not match the number of tablets remaining, and many new prescriptions were not ready for up to 4 days. Matthew Traynor, Deputy Director of the CQC in London, said, "Poor medicines management presents serious and in some cases immediate risk to people's health and well-being. We have told the home they need to tackle these failings urgently. Our inspectors will return in the near future. If we find that the practice is not making the required progress, we won't hesitate to use our legal powers further to protect the people who use the services." Edmonton MP Andy Love said, "It's very distressing to learn that some of the most vulnerable residents in my constituency aren't receiving the care they need and are paying to receive. Poor medicines management is no small issue and could cause severe risk to the residents' health." The centre in Hickory Close, Edmonton, was run by Southern Cross until the company collapsed last year. Four Seasons has been given until Friday to make improvements. A spokeswoman for Four Seasons said, "We deeply regret that in this instance Sunbridge Care Home fell below the standards we usually deliver and that our residents are entitled to expect." The CQC inspection found that the care home was compliant in all respects but the administration and recording of medication. "The well-being and comfort of residents is our priority, and we are taking urgent action to address this aspect of performance. We are implementing a comprehensive improvement programme, including all staff being retrained in administration and recording of medication, with the home manager carrying out daily random audits."
A widow is very upset to learn thieves are targeting graves across the borough. The pensioner read our story about a series of thefts from a grave in Lavender Hill Cemetery in Cedar Road, Chaseside, on August the 15th. Katie Russell, 23, told the Enfield Independent how thieves had taken 2 wicker baskets filled with flowers from her father's grave during the past 2 months. After reading the story, Beryl Blunt, 74, called us to say thieves had also stolen 2 vases of artificial flowers from her husband's grave at the St James Church of England Church Cemetery in Hertford Road, Enfield Highway. She said, "It is upsetting. I am an old-age pensioner and I have to keep buying new pots because I don't like to think of his grave not having flowers on it. It is not very nice." Mrs. Blunt lived with her husband, who died 22 years ago, in Elmore Road, Enfield Wash, before moving to Basildon 10 years ago. Mrs. Blunt, who reported the thefts to Enfield Council, is now concerned thieves are stealing from cemeteries throughout the borough and said there were many empty vases on graves at the cemetery in Hertford Road. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Chris Bond, said, "While such crimes are rare, we advise mourners not to leave valuable or sentimental items on or near graves to minimise the hurt caused in the unlikely event they are taken." He said stealing flowers from a cemetery was one of the most despicable crimes, but said cemeteries had to be kept open and accessible to the public.
2 men burgled a pensioner after he let them into his Enfield Wash home to search for their missing dog. The men, both white and aged between 20 and 30, targeted the 73-year-old man on Sunday, August the 19th, while he was home alone in Palmer's Lane. The man answered the door to the suspects between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. They claimed to have lost their dog and asked to search his garden. The victim agreed and allowed one man to use his home telephone, but tried to keep an eye on both men. Once the suspects left, he realised they had stolen jewellery and £20 in cash. The first man is described as clean-shaven, approximately 5 feet 11 inches, of average build with brown hair. He was wearing a dark green t-shirt and shorts. The second man was 6 feet, slim, with curly brown hair and with stubble. He was wearing a black short-sleeved shirt and shorts. Enfield police are reminding people to think before they open the door to strangers.
A marathon man, more used to pounding pavements than soothing saddle sores, is gearing up for the challenge of a lifetime next week when he attempts to cycle from London to Paris. David Gakhar, 48 of Ovedale Road, Enfield, decided to sign up for the 310-mile challenge to raise money for the North London Hospice after it cared for his mother in the last stages of her battle with lung cancer last year. What struck me most about the hospice staff was the care they gave all of us. My father, my brother, and me. They all helped us. They knew it was a very painful time for my family, the construction firm boss told the advertiser. They were absolutely brilliant with all the care and all their help. It was very dignified. The father of two has run the London Marathon 4 times as well as the Luton Marathon, embarked on a grueling training regime with some top-flight cyclists after signing up for the challenge 5 months ago. I have been training with guys who cycle competitively, so I know that when I do the actual ride, it will be slower, meaning I can extend my distances, said David. You feel so good afterwards. The weight has been dropping off as you can burn between 4,000 and 5,000 calories a ride. So normally I eat a lot when I get back after a ride. David expects to average about 100 miles a day after he sets off from Crystal Palace in South London next Wednesday. His dedication to the cause will see him make the journey down to the starting point the night before, meaning he will miss his 8th wedding anniversary. But he assured the advertiser that he would find some time to mark the occasion with his wife Tilly, who has been at his side throughout the tough training. David is aiming to bring in £5,000 for the hospice, which has centres in Winchmore Hill and Finchley, and so far he has raised just under £4,500 in sponsorship.
A more encouraging story on the crime front. A man has appeared in court after being arrested as part of a police raid targeting burglars last Wednesday morning. Patrick Ryan, 29, of Elmore Road, Enfield, Wash, was charged with controlling, disguising, converting or transferring criminal property as well as controlling ID documents when he appeared before the magistrates on Thursday. He is due back in the dock tomorrow at Wood Green Crown Court. In total, 30 people were arrested at 49 addresses across Enfield, Barnet, Brent, Camden, Haringey, Harrow, Hackney, Westminster, Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire as part of Operation Galaxy, and at least £400,000 worth of property was seized. The operation, which was led by Barnet Police, was launched in October 2010 to identify burglars operating in the borough who often live in neighbouring areas. Speaking about last week's raid, Commander Mac Chisty said, "This operation is a clear warning to all burglars that we will do everything in power to catch and convict them. House burglary carries a significant imprisonment, so be warned. With autumn nights fast approaching, burglars think there is less risk of getting caught. They are wrong. While the police continue to disrupt burglars, you can help by keeping a watchful eye in your neighbourhoods, keeping your property secure, and reporting anything suspicious to us." Detective Chief Inspector Ian Raphael added, "As part of this operation, we have already recovered approximately £400,000 worth of stolen property. Some of these items have thankfully been returned to their rightful owners."
Students celebrated their GCSE results last Thursday, although some teachers expressed concerns after an exam board had lowered English marks in a bid to prevent grade inflation. At Oasis Academy, Enfield, in Kinetic Crescent, Enfield Lock, the English grades were 10% lower than expected, and around 20 students missed out on getting at least a C, which means they could be deprived of further educational opportunities. However, other pupils celebrated their results, with 51 students passing their GCSE maths exams a year early. Of those, all received at least a B grade. Head teacher Paul Hammond criticised the Assessment and Qualifications Alliance exam board after the results had been made public. The English grades are 10% lower than expected, he said. This is one subject for one exam board for 1 year. All we are looking for is a level playing field. It is one thing to talk about percentages, but we are talking about kids' lives. It is a shame that we can only hope that AQA will even out the disparities. And Bruce Goddard, chairman of Enfield Secondary Head Teachers Association and head of Highland School, said, "In January, the exam boards set the grade boundaries for GCSE English language. Students and their teachers worked very hard to achieve what they needed to get their target. Then, without any consultation, those boundaries were changed, resulting in many missing their target grades. Most badly affected are those at the C and D borderline, with many who should have comfortably achieved a C being awarded a D. This is a gross abuse, potentially affecting the whole future of many of our young people. We support the call for an urgent inquiry and demand that the grade boundaries are readjusted back to their previous levels and new grades issued to our students." But a spokeswoman from AQA said, "We are confident that we have maintained standards and awarded the right grades this summer." Mr. Hammond added that he was delighted with his students' performance. This is the first year that Oasis pupils have taken GCSEs, as the school only opened 5 years ago. What has been particularly encouraging have been the results from our Year 9 and 10s who entered GCSEs early, which bodes well for the future. He added, "We won't let the furore over the English grades take the shine off everyone's achievements."
In connection with that last article, here is one student who did really well at her GCSEs. Hard work has paid off for an Enfield student who achieved 11 A stars to Cs in her GCSEs. Oasis Academy student Jessica Harris picked up her results on Thursday morning with her mother. The 16-year-old from Sandhurst Road in Edmonton spent an average of 5 hours a day revising for her exams. Jessica was unsure what she was going to achieve, but her grades are far better than she ever imagined. She said, "I think I'm in shock at the moment. I am very happy. It is a lot better than I was expecting. I struggled with psychology at first, so I did lots of revision and the teacher helped me with it. I made sure to give myself lots of extra time to prepare for my exams." After focusing on her problem subject, she said she was thrilled to get a grade C. The dedicated student would like to become a secondary school teacher, perhaps at Oasis Academy.
A former bank will soon be home to a pop-up gallery in Southgate after the landlord struggled to find a suitable tenant. Fionn Wilson and Gosia Sasowicz jumped at the chance of creating a gallery in the empty space after the landlord of the property in High Road Southgate met the pair while looking for an artist to exhibit in a corridor of the flats above. Artist Fionn and photographer and designer Gosia are now inviting others to come forward to exhibit their work at the not-for-profit gallery, which they hope will become a temporary cultural space in the area. Self-taught painter Fionn said, "Galleries can feel intimidating and formal. We want this one to feel accessible. We are going to put all kinds of art in there, but it has to be challenging, exciting, or a piece that offers something to visitors." The gallery is expected to start exhibiting work at the end of September, and any money from the sale of the art will go back to the landlord to pay for business rates. The gallery is a large empty space with a concrete floor and exposed water pipes. "It's a labour of love," added Fionn, who has the interest in modern figurative and abstract art and is also preparing for another exhibition in Hoxton, East London, starting next month. "We are investing a lot of time and effort in this gallery. Southgate is lacking a cultural, artistic place to go. Art is not something for dusty academies. It should be enjoyed." Gosia has a special interest in architecture. Depending how long the space is available for, the pair are planning to work with schools, mental health charities and care homes, which may want to visit or exhibit in the gallery as well.
This is one for those of us who remember school dinners with not deep affection. International dishes will now be brought into Enfield's primary schools to liven up school dinners. The Indian, Turkish, Italian, Jamaican, Mediterranean and Middle Eastern dishes will be introduced to the borough's school menus in November at the start of School Meals Week. Dishes will include keema matar, an Indian spiced mincemeat dish, turla turla, a spiced Turkish vegetable dish, Jamaican lamb and vegetable patties, and a Mediterranean-style spinach and feta strudel. Enfield Councillor Aoife Oren, Cabinet Member for Children and Young People, said, "I am keen children have a good, wholesome midday meal they enjoy. Some of these traditional dishes they will know from home, and they will be encouraged to eat them at school. We will still have the popular dishes and the salad bar, but our new dishes will liven up the choices. Ingredients for all the new dishes have been sourced from Enfield suppliers and farms." Catering manager Jane Burr said, "School meals have come a long way in the past few years. Our new recipes will be tasted and developed when we know what our parent and children tasters think of them. If they don't hit the mark, they will not be on our final menu. But we believe we have created healthy dishes that children will want to eat. The meals will be tested on Wednesday by a group of teachers and students, and again in October to ensure children are happy with the changes." Ms. Burr said they could refine the dishes after the tastings to ensure the taste and balance was right. Enfield Council's nutritionist, Julia Dowsett, said the main aim of meals was to offer real choices that tempted children to have a good midday meal.
Hundreds of supporters were expected to gather at a Grange Park shop last night to welcome home a cycling butcher. Michael Peachy, who has owned Fine Foods in the Grange Way since 1984, set off last week to cycle from Land's End back to Enfield in aid of the Cure Parkinson's Trust, a charity dedicated to curing the disease. The 60-year-old was diagnosed with the neurological disease 2 years ago. The full story can be read online for those of you who have the facility at www.enfieldindependent.co.uk.
An Enfield politician says A-level students should be congratulated for their results. This year, 51.3% of A-level passers were graded at A-star, A or B, a 0.2% improvement on last year's results in the borough. A total of 98.3% of A-level exams were passed, which is 0.3% higher than the national result this year and 0.5% higher than in 2011. Councillor Aoife Oren, Cabinet Minister for Schools and Children's Services, said, "Enfield school students can be very proud of their achievement, which demonstrates just how well they are doing. These results hold up very well against national trends, and our students and their teachers are to be congratulated. I wish them all every success." Andrew Fraser, Director for Schools and Children's Services, added, "This result reflects the hard work and application of students and teachers." Aylwood Academy in Windmill Road, Edmonton, and Bishop Stopford School in Brick Lane, Enfield, received 100% A-level pass rate. Broomfield School in Wilmer Way in Arnos Grove, which was put into special measures by Ofsted last October, received Enfield's lowest pass rate at 94.8%. followed by Oasis Academy Hadley in Bell Lane, Enfield Lock, with 95.1%.
A film starring an Enfield-born actor in one of the lead roles had its premiere in New York on Friday night. Night Night, a comedy featuring 24-year-old David Wayman and directed by Chingford resident Christina Boucher, is being shown at the Quad Cinema in Greenwich Village. David plays the role of Sir Gilbert, who alongside Sir Edgar is looking for a new job following the death of King Arthur and the fall of Camelot. It is the debut feature-length film by Christina, who met comedy writer Nick Horwood during a workshop run by best-selling author Brendan Foley and Hollywood producer Ned Dowd in Denmark last year. "It's getting a lot of attention at the moment," Christina said. "I think people see feature-length films a little differently to short films. They seem to give them more credit for some reason." With investors failing to commit, Christina had to fund the low-budget flick. As producer and director, She stuck rigidly to the schedule, shooting the film in just 9 days at locations including Allington Castle in Kent, Headingham Castle in Essex, and Epping Forest. The film is the third featuring David to be released this year, alongside Medal of Honor and Death is a Mystery. David began his acting career at the age of 18, training at East 15 Acting School. After a number of short film and theatre roles, he made his feature film debut in zombie movie The Dead Inside, which is due out this year. Arguably his biggest role to date comes in Death It's a Mystery by BAFTA winner Martin Gooch, who also stars Nick Moran and Carry On star and film veteran Leslie Phillips. To find out more about David, visit davidwayman.weebly.com.
The Da Capo Concert Band is holding an open audition to celebrate its move to High Barnet. The audition and a workshop are open to woodwind, percussion and brass players and are free, including lunch. They will run from 10:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on September the 15th and end with a short concert to showcase the day's hard work. Members of the public are welcome to come along and listen. The band, which was previously based in Whetstone, is moving to St John the Baptist Church in Wood Street, High Barnet. The workshop will be led by the band's musical director, John Milne, who is bandmaster to the band of the Coldstream Guards, one of the oldest bands in the British Army. The Da Capo Concert Band, which will celebrate its 15th anniversary in November, performs a wide repertoire from Gustav Holst to themes from film and television. The band's 40 members come from across Hertfordshire and London. Mr Milne said, "We are really looking forward to being part of the vibrant community in High Barnet. St John the Baptist Church is a wonderful central location with great acoustics. We hope all local wind and brass players will come and give us a try."
A pond in a Southgate park has been given the all-clear by the Environment Agency after a poisonous algae was cleared by Mother Nature. Visitors to Groveland's Park off Bourne Hill were warned earlier this month not to fish, swim or wade into the park's lake after blue-green algae was detected in the water there. But after a spell of wet weather, the bacteria, which can cause health problems to people and animals, including diarrhea, skin irritations and vomiting, has been flushed through by the streams that supply the lake with fresh water. Enfield Council had been drawing up a plan to treat the algae. Chris Bond, Cabinet Member for Environment, said, "I'm delighted the blue-green algae has cleared from Groveland's lake. We'll continue to work with the Environment Agency to monitor levels of the algae and make sure we take the necessary steps to ensure the lake is safe for visitors to the park." We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.